Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining us for the first time, we thank you for watching. In this episode, I will be looking into the recent visit by the Foreign Minister of Nigeria to the United States of America. The minister was asked how the situation in West Africa is unfolding. Instead of the minister to explain, he went ahead more defensively to talk about how Nigeria is leading the way in regards to the current situation in the Sahel. As Nigeria continues to lead ECOWAS as a regional organization has fallen short in regards to its present involvement in regards to the issues in the Sahel. As we all seen countries along the region, Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and also Mali have severed the relationship. As you look at the AES being formed, countries like Niger, Burkina Faso, and also Mali have made it clear that they want to go their separate ways. But the minister from Nigeria is talking about how ECOWAS is intact. We have a video here to play with regards to the particular interview. More importantly, in this episode, I will present to you a detailed analysis with regards to the issue in West Africa for you to judge yourself. The problem here is each time our diplomats travel abroad, instead of them to explain the details and the difficulties currently going on in the region, they come ahead to sugarcoat things when they sit alongside their geopolitical partners. This has to end. Once you have to explain those situations, it's much better for you to talk about those things in a clear and vivid way. Africa should have a clear position with regards to its strategic issues. If we cannot explain ourselves, then we have issues with regards to our geopolitical partners. They won't know where we stand. So without any more delay, I will roll this clip and we'll join you on the other side to give you more detailed analysis with regards to geopolitical issues in the region.
The elephant in the room right now, if you're a student of West Africa or the Sahel, is the apparent split of ECOWAS into two. And this is, ECOWAS is the economic community of West African states. It was founded in 1975, mostly under the auspices of Nigeria, then under the leadership of General Yakubu Gowon. What that means, I think, is that more than any other country, Nigeria has a stake. Nigeria has an interest in what happens to ECOWAS. With Mali, with Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso forming this Association of Sahelian States, this breakaway group, how do you see Nigeria handling this? Do you think the break is permanent, or do you think what these countries are doing is just a negotiating strategy? Are they trying to get attention? How does Nigeria go about trying to pacify these countries, bringing them back to the table and making sure that ECOWAS remains one strong economic and political unit?
Well, first of all, I disagree with the description that ECOWAS has split into two, because if you look at the ratio, ECOWAS consists of 15 countries, and then 3 say that they want to leave ECOWAS, and ECOWAS has statutes and protocols that even say that it takes a year for you to leave, and those countries are signatories to those protocols. So the fact that 3 countries out of the 15 say they want to do that doesn't mean that ECOWAS is split into 2. And even so, if you look at the way the world is structured, or Africa, the fact that you have these regional economic communities that are working towards the creation of an African continental free trade area that the whole world is supportive of, because if we're talking about free trade and engagement in a globalized world, then it is in the interest of every country for there to be such a huge common market that Africa itself will benefit from. So 3 countries saying they're doing their own thing doesn't fit into that, nor does it fit into the African Union itself and its aspirations, the world. So the African Union doesn't even recognize that break, let alone other countries, and then, okay, if you take it further to the United Nations, if you're speaking as 3 countries as opposed to speaking as 15 countries or 55 countries in the case of the African Union, then you can see that no country is autarkic to begin with. So let's get that right. Let's also look at what Nigeria is doing in terms of, first and foremost, and ECOWAS, because Nigeria is the current chair of ECOWAS. So we're using all possible diplomatic means to see that they remain in ECOWAS, but that does not take away from doing what is right in terms of the tenets of ECOWAS, the principles of democracy. So what we're trying to do is we have, of course, shared democratic values with other countries, but we also have shared interests with Mali, with Burkina Faso, with Niger. At the moment, they are under serious threat from terrorist organizations. They only 2 days ago, I think it was, or was it 3? I don't know, because of the jet lag. I'm not sure if I've missed a day. But Mali was under attack only recently. So that terrorist threat is real. Africa has a youthful population. There were mistakes that were made, both within Africa and also with some of our friends and neighbors. The European Union, the EU Sahel strategy failed, and it failed woefully. Nigeria has always led the way, along with partners outside of Africa when it comes to maintaining peace in the region and stability. We succeeded in Sierra Leone. We succeeded in Liberia. You can see what we did in terms of restoring peace and stability. We led ECOMOG along with our partners. So
the foreign minister of Nigeria said that Nigeria has led the way with regards to the issue in West Africa. I don't think so. When you remember when Nigeria was in the lead to invade the country of Niger, to storm Niger, to also engage or to bring Niger into the fold of ECOWAS. You remember how it was in the news at the time, how France was very positive about this particular move, how the European Union criticized Niger, and more importantly, African Union took a different stand with regards to what's happening. But Nigeria at the time was pushing to invade Niger and to restore the former President Mohamed Bazoum. The problem here is, I'm not saying that what's happening in West Africa entirely, it is the way to go. However, if they are wrong, we will find out. But if they are right, we will find out that if a foreign minister comes to an international society to talk about the issues in the region, they have to be clear and make their position pretty clear with regards to what's happening in the region. We made a video with regards to the geopolitical situation in that particular region concerning the issue in Niger and also in the AES region, talking about West Africa. Let's play that clip and we will join you on the other side.
But what shaped my perspective here was when ECOWAS was mentioned, then I automatically knew that the coup in Niger will stand as that in Mali and also in Burkina Faso.
A few days after the junta ousted the elected president Mohamed Bazoum and took power, ECOWAS issued an ultimatum. Either step down by Sunday or potentially face military action. Now, the bloc says it has a plan.
There is a steely determination by our heads of state and government to put an end to it and to make an example of Niger, to make sure that never again are we going to allow the disruption of the region's move towards democratic consolidation in our region. And ECOWAS is not going to tell the coup plotter when and where we are going to strike.
If you consider ECOWAS, the regional organization at the time, was ill-prepared. I think France, which completely depended on ECOWAS, who supported ECOWAS' effort to intervene, I think it was a grave mistake. Nigeria in particular was not ready. Nigeria was dealing with internal issues at the time, and Nigeria was not able. The forces, if you consider those countries that can contribute a number of troops to go into Niger, was Nigeria. But I think that was a bluff from the Nigerian side, that France could never have imagined that Nigeria was just bluffing. Nigeria was not ready to go into Niger. Niger is a massive country. If you consider the landmass of Niger, the largest country in the Sahel, so that was never going to happen. The Nigerian troops were prepared. They have been battling jihadis for a number of years, and they were battle prepared, or I would say combat ready. But Nigeria, to an extent, or the ECOWAS forces were not at that stage of readiness. There was a huge gap in that area where France could not have seen it. However, if you consider Mali, Burkina Faso, and also Guinea saying that they will contribute and join into this particular issue, then I knew that nothing was going to change with regards to that particular coup. So ECOWAS lost its credibility in that particular event.
It's very difficult to negotiate the stepping down of a junta, and that's going to be the big game here. What does ECOWAS put on the table? They're trying to force these people to step down. Right now, they feel bolstered simply because yesterday, according to the AFP, there were 30,000 people in the Niamey stadium, that we saw youths across the city of Niamey holding roundabouts, saying that they will defend what they see as, the new leadership of the country. The junta also has closed the airspace. So quite clearly, negotiations are not really taking place at this stage. It appears that the junta is not speaking to anyone. They're actually just staying there and bracing for whatever is going to happen. Of course, for ECOWAS, this is a very dangerous game, simply because it's all about credibility. The question is, what do you put on the table to force a junta to step down and offer them security whilst not giving the impression that you're being soft on those who've taken power by force?
Indeed, in threatening this military intervention, ECOWAS has sort of put its hat in the ring of sorts. Is its credibility on the line, and how can it save its credibility if it doesn't do a military intervention?
Well, that's going to be very difficult. The big question is, will they go ahead or not? Obviously, they've said that they would use force. Now, what are they planning? It's unclear. There's been meetings. What we know is that for now, ECOWAS has said we will not be giving any details about what we're ready to do. The question is, what are they ready to do at this stage, given that indeed there are some frictions inside the bloc and outside as well. We've seen, for example, Nigeria, who is the main contributor if there is any military action. It's the biggest country in ECOWAS, 215 million people, and of course they're the ones who will be contributing the most soldiers and the most money to this operation. Well, the Senate in the country has said that they wanted to avoid military action. Now, the constitution of Nigeria stipulates that the president can start a military intervention and has 7 days to have it validated by Senate. So technically, it is possible to go ahead without a green light from the Nigeria Senate. But still, yes, there are tensions, there are questions, and also there are some other actors, such as, for example, Algeria, by the voice of President Tebboune, who's been saying, that this might destabilize the whole region. So there is a lot at stake, but if ECOWAS does not move or does not do anything, well, of course, they're going to look weak. And right now, there is this feeling in some countries, including Niger, for example, that ECOWAS is working for its Western backers. And that, of course, is something that is also to be taken into consideration.
Nigeria as a regional power, to my own understanding, has it led the way in continent of Africa. Nigeria has failed to take its responsibility in a number of areas. I believe that the Nigerian government under the President Bola Tinubu, I'm talking about the Nigerian political system, not about the Nigerian people. I have no issues with Nigerian professionals. We have huge colleagues around the region, major consultants and very experienced people. But the problem here is Nigeria has not led the way in a number of areas. Nigeria economically, developmentally, and also engaging the region to lead. Nigeria has taken double positions in a number of global issues. I think Nigeria has to go back to the drawing board to rethink its position in the continent of Africa and globally. The minister talked about some 5 principles, and more importantly, Nigeria is focused on international issues instead of focusing on issues that are happening within the continent of Africa and across its own border. I think this global perspective of where you are weak back home and try to project international power, it's wrong. Well, let's listen to what the minister have to say, and we will close this episode.
These are the sort of things that are going on. We have a regional partnership for democracy where we're trying to strengthen democratic institutions, not just in the countries that have undergone these unconstitutional changes of government, but other countries as a whole in the region.
So I take your point about the smallness of those countries. If you're from a Nigerian standpoint, in West Africa, everything else looks small. I get that. But I'm not trying to litigate this, but I guess the point is, yes, you seem to be suggesting that if these countries do actually push through, and because they've activated the protocols, they're going to regret it. I get that. But if you're not worried about those countries themselves, aren't you worried about what appears to be driving those countries? The influence of Russia, for instance? They don't seem to be acting alone.
No, what I beg to differ with was splitting into two, because I was in my head imagining an amoeba and how it splits and then it forms two equal parts. So the point I was making was that, these are not two equal parts. But yeah, you're right. We are very much concerned about West Africa turning into a theater of contestations by outside powers. We're very much concerned about the presence of Russia, of even the Wagner Group. I don't know if it's still called Wagner now, or if it's called the African Frontier Force. This is something we've taken up with Russia. It's something we have also taken up with China, which is why recently when President Tinubu visited China, if you look at the joint statement that was issued by President Tinubu and Xi Jinping, we made it clear that there had to be clarity in terms of China's commitment to the unity of ECOWAS, and it is stated in the joint statement, and also Nigeria's leading role in the region within ECOWAS as well. So this is something that we're very much concerned about. Yeah.
So still on the question of Russia, whether or not it's seeking to undermine Nigeria directly, I think the long and short is that the effect of what it's doing in the rest of the Sahel is bound to affect Nigeria adversely. And I'm wondering whether you think, do you see Russia as a security threat to Nigeria? And do you think Nigeria should rethink its relations with Russia?
Well, you can never accuse Nigeria of ideological necrophilia. We always checked to see, okay, what is happening? What is the reality? So the fact that we get along with Russia doesn't mean we're not going to interrogate what Russia is doing in our neighborhood. And I was in Russia earlier this year. I interacted with Minister Lavrov. We made these points clear to them. Even if we're friends, it doesn't mean that we would have these sort of combatants that will be brought into our neighborhood. And the unity of ECOWAS is something that we take very seriously, and we consider such interference to be very serious, to the interest, inimical to the interest of Nigeria, and we were given assurances. So it's not something that we're taking for granted, and we're monitoring and following it closely.
Yeah. Especially after the waving of Russian flags in the context of the End Bad Governance protest. Did you notice that? Yeah,
we investigated that. We could not find any clear evidence to show that Russia had a hand in it. You also have to bear in mind that there are groups that were looking to take advantage of the protests to foment, to wreak havoc within Nigeria, because you have this problem, and it's not just in Nigeria, it exists even in the United States, where we're beginning to lose touch with the art of democratic persuasion, of democratic engagement. Someone like, I think, who was it? I think it was Stanley Cavell that described it better. I don't have as eloquent the words to put it as he did, but democracy is not about, winner takes all. So you have those that lose out in elections, that try to use all possible means to undermine governments, to pull the entire system down. And that's not what democracy is about. And as I told you at the beginning of our conversation, we operate a system that is not unlike the U.S. system. So, we have, if you look at the way democracy evolved in the United States, when America came into existence, there was much more the art of conversation, of persuasion, of convincing the other side, and also of accommodating those who have lost out when there are elections, when there are contestations, is being lost. Because look at what was going on with the Federalist Papers, the discussions, the debates, and where we are now. So Nigeria is not immune to that as well. So this is what we attribute it to, but we could not find any concrete evidence that Russia was directly involved.
Hopefully, we've informed you with regards to the reason why the Nigerian minister could not articulate himself with regards to the issues in West Africa. We have more videos to talk about this particular interview. There are a number of areas that we still have to discuss with regards to the current situation in West Africa and pertaining to this particular interview by the Foreign Minister of Nigeria. We want to thank you for watching. Give us a like, watch other informative videos on our YouTube channel to enrich your geopolitical knowledge with regards to the continent of Africa. And we are looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.